Assalamu alaikum and good greetings. So this will be a continuation from the previous two videos where we see David Wood interact with Sheikh Uthman. The first one, the two videos ago, it is from the perspective of David Wood, how he began and what is the final conclusion. And then the past video we have seen the first half an hour of the interaction where mainly Sheikh Uthman is clarifying certain issues from the first round and some follow-up question there. So I think now we will go into the actual question that David would want to point out and highlight the issue with Islam I think. So yeah, without further ado, let's watch.
I don't want you to think we're dodging anything.
All right, so I read these four.
Oh, good. Allah guide you with them.
The one I wanted to make a video about was in here, and then I thought, well, I'd ask you a bit.
All right.
But I think I had a couple more objections about this one. No, we'll go through them. They shouldn't take too. They shouldn't take
Go for
long.
it. Go for it.
All right. So this is misconceptions about Islam, and so. And some of these are just clarification, like what exactly do you mean by this? Because it
hit me, bro. Go ahead, man. Don't be shy.
So,
I got you.
Misconception number one is Muslims do not share good and noble values with non-Muslims. And it says, some people allege that Islamic values are somehow incompatible with decent Western values. Such claims cannot be further from the truth. And then,
I'm sorry. So, can I read that? Because that doesn't sound like it.
Such claims could not be further from the truth.
Can I take a look? Oh, okay. So this is a misconception. This is not a statement. Okay, I'm sorry, because it seems like saying Muslims do not share good values is a statement.
This is misconception number
one.
one.
Let me just clarify this for the camera as well. We're reading it together, right? So this is a misconception that is not true, that some people, maybe Islamophobes or those that have some kind of hatred, say that Muslims do not share good and noble values with non-Muslims. That is not true, right? Some people allege that Islamic values are somehow incompatible with decent Western values, right?
Yeah.
Such claims could not be further from the truth. Muslims cherish noble and universal values such as being honest and just, such as keeping one's word, allowing freedom of religion, respecting parents, relatives, neighbors, and the elderly, being charitable, generous, and looking after the poor and needy, not lying, cheating, swearing, or backbiting anyone. Muslims are required to contribute positively towards society and to always conduct themselves in the highest moral and best actions. All right.
So
Thank you for the da'wah.
The point of confusion here was Muslims cherish noble and universal values such as, and then it says allowing freedom of religion.
Sure.
So this is any sort of Westerner who reads that would think that Islam has freedom of religion as a universal value. So then, noble and universal values such as
what's your
freedom of religion. Well, I'm thinking of things like death penalty for apostasy. So you leave Islam, you convert to something else, and you get put to death. So I'm saying when someone who's walking by here and takes your track, takes a look at that.
Takes my trap? Come on, Dave.
We call these tracks.
Tracks?
These are called tracks.
What's the track?
T-R-A-C-T. Tracks.
Oh, tracks.
That's
okay, that's cool.
We normally think of, as far as Christians handing them out, we normally think of pamphlets as something thicker, and then tracks as like a one full.
We just think of sharing in values, but okay. So guys, so let me explain something to you.
Okay.
When you talk about first thing, the idea of religious freedoms, right? In the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings be upon him, were there Christians and Jews that lived in Medina, lived under the Khilafah, and were able to pray, have churches and things, or no?
They ultimately became dhimmis, but I'm more thinking of, we understand the dhimmi status and the jizya and so on. I'm more thinking of polytheists because because anyone here who hears universal value, freedom of religion, would think that there is no death penalty for leaving Islam or something like that.
So that's what I'm wondering. Let me clarify for you. I got you, David. All right. So first thing to understand when you talk about the universal freedom of religion, we need to understand what that encompasses, right? So, for example, when you had the Spanish Inquisition, right? You know about the Spanish Inquisition?
Yeah.
Okay. So when the Spaniards came, they didn't allow people to stay Muslim, right? It was either you convert or die, right? Come on, David. Don't try to deny it. You're on tape, bro.
Some cases, no,
Spanish Inquisition.
We condemn violence, but the point is, it's not part of the religion. That's what people do.
I agree with you.
Which is exactly what I'm sure you say about certain people.
I would. But the Spanish Inquisition is an example of not allowing the people to practice their religion.
True.
Either you become Christian or die.
So I wouldn't call that freedom of religion.
Agreed. Right? In Islam, we don't have that. Even if you are a dhimmi or whatever, you have the right to keep to your religion. Nobody's going to force you to become Muslim. Is that right? Yeah, it is. So let's move.
I don't think so.
Okay, so why not, bro?
Well, okay, if you're in a Muslim country and you convert.
So hold on. We're first talking about people following.
Are you free to convert? Are you free to leave Islam?
Sure. Let me get to that. Let me get to that.
Take that, all of you people who say that you should be killed.
I don't know who those people are, but okay.
I mean, you got Ali Dawa says that if you leave and you're spreading your unbelief, then you got to be put to death.
I got you, bro. Let me first explain this to you, okay? So first thing is here in America, right? Because you're talking about Islamic value, right? You're not talking about the Khilafah and Bay'ah, because those are things that you're trying to skip out on, which I'm going to make clear, okay? Hold on, I got you.
I'm saying I understand it here. I understand it here.
So no. So you're talking about Islam, right? So in Islam, if somebody here, as a Muslim, I'm here, somebody comes, takes a book, becomes a Muslim, right? And then he leaves his religion. Am I to kill him?
No.
Why not?
You've got freedom of religion.
Right? But as a Muslim, is it an obligation upon me to kill that person? It's not, and no scholar said that you can, right? So this is where you have to be clear, right? Now we'll give you.
The tract isn't clear.
Okay, well I'm making it clear for you. I think it is clear, but if you're not clear, I'll make it clear for you.
If you say universal, that would mean everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. So now we believe that people have the right to practice their religion universally, under Islamic Khilafah, and not under Khilafah, everywhere.
Polytheists?
Right? Polytheists, sure. There were polytheists after the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca. You didn't know that?
Yeah, until
what?
Didn't they reveal some verses about you got a couple months to get out, or
get out of
or else? The opening verses of Surah Tawbah?
Tawbah is about a particular battle. You know that, right?
Yeah, but
Surah Ahzab. You didn't know that polytheists continued to exist in Mecca even in the time of the Khulafa?
I'd be interested in reading your sources.
David. You need to get educated, son.
We can read some of this.
I'll tell you what. I have a series on YouTube about the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, from authentic sources.
Okay.
Why don't you go home, check the Majd Ribat channel, and watch it. Right? There were polytheists that were there under the Islamic Khilafah all the way through Abbasiyya and Umayyah. This is historic facts. Have you read Tabari and Ibn Kathir, Bidayah wa Nihaya? Apparently not.
On Surah 9, yeah.
Surah Tawbah is about what?
It's about a bunch of things.
Okay, but what's the Asbab al-Nuzul?
I mean, at first you have...
do you know what Asbab al-Nuzul means? What does Asbab al-Nuzul mean?
That's the situations of the revelations or something
context.
Like that. Yeah, context
right.
of the revelations, okay.
So Surah Tawbah is in the context of the Battle of Ahzab.
Okay.
You know that, right? You didn't know that. It's okay. We're here to learn. So, when you look at an ayah, you have to look at the context of that verse. Okay? Where is it applicable? In a time of peace or war? Is it about a particular situation, a particular people, or is it am? Do you know what am and khas means?
No.
All right. I'm here to help you, Dave. I got you. Am.
It kind of seems like you're deflecting.
I'm really not.
Because it's a very simple thing.
Yeah. You asked about Surah Tawbah.
Allowed to leave Islam in a
sure. I'll answer that. But first, I want you to understand.
That's my only objection to that part.
Because your question that came up from you was about Surah Tawbah. So I'm just trying to explain to you so you don't go the rest of your life with this misconception, making videos without being ignorant of what am and khas is, right? There are certain verses that are for certain situations. You need to learn that before you make videos, and certain that are general. The particulars called khas. Some are about jihad, about the time of fighting. Some are about the Quraysh who were oppressing Muslims at that time, but they're not generally taken about all non-Muslims in all different areas. So you need to learn that so that you don't misunderstand the Quran. Now, let's get back to your question. Your education will have to wait, all right?
Okay, to be fair, because if we are being honest, of course I'm addressing the Muslim, right? most Muslims are not even educated enough on that, right? Meaning that because some Muslim, when they look at the non-Muslim, they use certain verses totally out of context to justify their hate to non-Muslim, for example, or their action to non-Muslim. And of course, in this context, because David Wood is actively saying something about Islam, so you can say it is justified that Sheikh Uthman keep wanting to educate him because he actively discussed these things. But for Muslim as well, I think because even though the language, as if some might say, do all Muslim understand this? I would say I do understand all of this because I'm educated in this topic, for example. But from my interaction with many Muslim, not many are well informed about these things, that they easily misuse certain verses to justify non-Islamic actions, including to non-Muslim, right? So yeah, that I'm just saying this to be fair, and primarily to Muslim, we should educate ourselves better in terms of understanding Al-Quran, so that we do not end up thinking that what we are doing is justified under Islam.
So now, when you talk about the hukm of Murtad, the Murtad, right? First thing which you're missing is this is not generally for somebody who leaves Islam. This is for somebody who's under the Khilafah, right? Like in Pakistan, for example, today. Okay, so you know that. So why are you confused then?
I wouldn't say under the Khilafah, but I see that it wouldn't apply over here in a way.
No. So let's take it at Pakistan, for example, or Malaysia, right? Those are Muslim countries. People that become Christian are not put to death. Do you know that, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Islam here.
We are talking about Islam. So we're talking about so when you talked about Islam, you said Muslim countries. When I talk about Muslim countries, you're talking about Islam, right?
It's very simple. If anyone leaves his religion, kill him.
But that is under al-bay'ah, when you have pledged and there is a court system and a khilafah, because that comes under treason.
So if you have a caliphate.
Yes.
Okay, this is where I think it is interesting, because the discussion about how do we understand the punishment of Murtad. And to be fair to the non-Muslim, because it's easy to criticize the non-Muslim, to take things out of context to justify their perception that Islam is violent, that we kill those who leave Islam, just like that. But the thing is, this is where, meaning in all fairness, I'm not sure about other places, etc., how Muslim learn Islam, because from the young age, I think ever since I can remember, until I start to dig into this topic, reading a lot, etc., as an adult, we always being told of a very simplified answer about this, and most kids, and because some non-Muslim will point this out, right? If you ask generally Muslim what is the punishment of leaving Islam, and many Muslim would say death, and hence you cannot blame the non-Muslims to have that misconception, because most of Muslim as well have this misconception. And I think even Muslim do not realize that Islam, when we say it's a complete way of life, it's not just a way of life of individuals. It's complete guidance to all level, all spectrum of life, including governance, including So the issue of treason can only be understood if you look from the perspective of a state, a khilafah, or whatever, right? And what is the implication of certain things. So if you do not understand that, and you do not understand Islam is governing not just a personal religion, it is actually far greater than that. Even for Muslim, they will not understand this accurately about the Murtad, etc. So that's my concern. That's just an example of unlike, for example, Sheikh Uthman and the likes, right? Many Muslims, if they would ask them the same question, the answer will be terrifying, you know, or sad, right? So that's the reality from my perspective, and it has to change. It has to change. Anyway.
If you have a caliphate,
yes,
and someone is in the Muslim community
who gives allegiance,
okay,
right?
So a Muslim, let's say, you're a Muslim, and
sure,
then later on,
and then let's say
change your mind,
sure,
and you decide to become a pagan,
sure. So here,
does it apply there?
Sure. So let me
death penalty.
Let me clarify it for you, bro. So when you are under a khilafah and you give bay'ah, you have pledged an allegiance to the khilafah, right? At that time, then you become a murtad, meaning you leave Islam, but you don't tell anybody. This is between you. You just sit there and worship your own whatever at home. Nobody's going to kill you. Understand? But if you go out now under an Islamic khilafah, you give the allegiance and you start preaching towards other religions, right? The paganism, whatever. Religions who the Khilafah may be at battle with, then this is taken as treason. And you know in America also treason can have the death penalty, right? Here you will not just be put to death. You will not, this is where your misunderstanding happens, right?
No, I know there are waiting periods and stuff depending on which school.
First they will speak to you, right? They will talk to you like, hey, why are you trying to cause fitna? You know what fitna is?
Yeah.
Tribulations in the land. If you didn't want to be Muslim, that's you, but now you're trying to cause a problem within the khilafah, right? Just like in America, let's say tomorrow David Wood gives allegiance to Daesh, ISIS, right? You give, now FBI is going to come talk to you, bro, what are you doing, right? And you start posting about them and you start supporting them. Now you're going against the government. Now you'll be arrested. You could get the death penalty, you could be arrested, you could be sent to Gitmo, whatever else would happen. That is how the irtad laws work under that circumstances. But like I said, if you're a Christian and you're living in the Muslim land, you have the universal right to practice your religion as Islam has protected.
And a polytheist as well.
Sure, like I just told you that right now you have so many Hindus living in Pakistan, living in Malaysia, even in Saudi, right? Even in the Middle East, you know that, right? Nobody kills them, nobody's stopping them from, in Dubai, now they got Hindu temples and stuff, so you know all this, you're just, I don't know, maybe you're just trying to play this.
I distinguish between the religion and what people do. Right?
Okay, so in the religion of Islam,
when a Muslim does something, and I can't think of, hey,
in the religion of Islam, those people that were Hindu, when the Muslims conquered and ruled India, they did not convert them. The majority of India stayed Hindu. They were not killed, they were not converted, they were given the right to practice their religion. And that is what Islam teaches us. We cannot force anybody to become Muslim, and we don't tell anybody, hey, either if you're Hindu, either become Muslim or you die. No Muslim agrees with that.
Oh, actually, there's a point on that right here. I had a question about that one as well. So, when you say universal freedom of religion, that wouldn't include the right to leave Islam under a caliphate and then to go out preaching your religion, even if your religion calls you to, let's say, share the gospel.
So that would not be religious freedom. That would be considered causing a fitna, a tribulation within the khilafah, and that would be tried under treason.
But you could say that of anything. I mean, you could have an American ruler who jumps up and decides, hey, spreading Islam, that's treason. Yeah. And I wouldn't call that freedom of religion.
Take it up with that American leader, but let me explain something. So let me explain.
That's all I'm saying.
Sure. What you are confusing in your mind is the difference between the freedom of religion and treason, right? So if tomorrow America said that whoever follows Daesh's version of Islam, which I don't agree with, right? I don't agree with what they say, but if a government says that if you follow that, we consider that treason and you will be arrested and put in jail or possibly put to death and so on, that has happened and could happen, and we wouldn't say that you don't have the freedom of religion, right? Even today, if somebody like David Wood stands up in Balboa Park and takes a Daesh flag and says that my religious beliefs are that Daesh is correct, you would be arrested. Would you say we don't have freedom of religion in America?
I would say it's clearly not universal freedom of religion.
Okay, well, I think you need to have a talk with some kind of lawyers here, because people consider that not to be an impediment of freedom of religion, but rather something against the state.
I would just say that so if you're raised as something and you conclude that it's false and you want to share your new religion, that seems like that would be freedom. So, that would be like the bare bones of freedom of religion.
It would again depend on the situation, the place, the Islamic judge that would take it to court, that would have that discussion, and if it is seen as irtad, then that hukm is there. This is what we mean, and I hope we're clear with it, inshallah.
We are clear.
All right, next.
I think this needs to be clarified.
I think it is clear. I think your mind had some misconceptions, but go ahead.
Let me put it this way. Every person walking down here who reads that, if they believe it, they would assume that you're free to leave Islam.
I think you're making an assumption.
I don't think I am.
You are. Have you talked to everybody?
We could ask like 50 people who walk by, hey, what do you think this means?
I'll tell you what. Why don't you get to your other points first?
Just got two more here.
Go ahead.
Okay,
so he is going to another point. So that is mainly the issue there about Murtad or Irtad, and how it is understood. Because the main point here is that universal freedom of religion, and is that contradicting the law of Murtad? So if you understand the law of Murtad in the sense of treason against the established government, then it's not contradicting, meaning that law about treason is not contradicting about universal freedom of religion, right? Because if you want to practice whatever religion you want, that's one thing, right? No one is stopping you. You are free to do that. But treason is beyond that, right? When you know, of course, some people says, what if my religion actually causes trouble to the, and calling for, you know, destabilizing the country, etc. Then obviously they will see that, okay, that religion now, freedom of religion and, you know, action towards that kind of ideology is contradicting. Hence, that law. So only in that case, I think you can say it is contradicting. But when you say la ikrah fi din, obviously when we see about people's choices of belief and rituals and etc., unless the ritual is destabilizing the country, right? I'm not sure what is the ritual, like in some movie where the ritual is to kill a leader or whatever. I'm not sure. Maybe then that religion in itself is a problematic religion and should be banned, right? If there is such a religion. But anyway, so we'll continue with the next issue that will be raised by David Wood in the next video, inshallah. Hopefully this clarify that question. If you have any follow-up question or discussion about this topic, feel free to comment and, you know, voice your opinion. And until next time, thank you for watching. See you next time.